We definitely need to work on interconnectivity. We need to make sure that whenever we're building a new road or any new development, that they're always making sure that there's clear bike path, pedestrian paths there, because quite frankly, we're just not doing that. We're supposed to be doing that, but we're not even enforcing our own policies and our own rules on that, and covering our hands. Beyond that, you can live the dream a little bit. I was able to skateboard down here tonight, so I can always do as a politician is live the dream and try to show. My shirt's more wrinkled than my competitors, I'm sure, from being in the backpack, but we can always lead by example. And the nice thing about it is it's a chance to clear my head in a busy campaign, right? You get that mental stress break. So certainly public awareness is something that we can also do. There's a variety of activities that we can do, but certainly without a doubt we have to make more walkable, more livable cities that are more condensed and where people's daily habits don't require to drive as far.
As I mentioned before, we need to start designing and redesigning our communities so it's not just possible but pleasant to get around without having to get into a car. Because the way we're building our cities and the way we've been building them is not sustainable. It's not economically sustainable, it's not environmentally sustainable, and it's not socially sustainable. So we need to, and that takes public investment. So part of what we've said is that we would put funds into infrastructure that makes it easier for people to get around. And restore the 50-50 funding for transit, but it needs to be more than just for Winnipeg, and we need to expand transit systems to other towns in Manitoba. Because there are places like Portage Prairie that could be served by 2 buses, and they have major businesses that are being built out of town, but you can only work there if you have a car. So we need to be able to make sure that we have the bus routes are there. And that we're also investing in recreational infrastructure is another thing. But the other thing we've proposed is having a commission on rail relocation and rail rationalization in Winnipeg to study how much it would cost, but also not just to move the heavy traffic and rails out of the city, because we see all those tanker cars and hazardous goods that are running past just over here next to the forks. But we could also see the cost of putting light rail transit or commuter rail on top of those vacated rails. We already have a network of rail in Winnipeg, and people often balk at this as they think how incredibly expensive this must be. But the fact is, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars getting around rail infrastructure. There was going to be an underpass at Marion that was going to cost $500 million just to get another tracks. So there's a point when it is probably much more efficient to reorganize our city and to spend the money on changing rail instead of getting around it. Thank you.
So we do want to build the infrastructure that supports active transportation. I talk to people all the time who just come back from a weekend in Minneapolis and say, that's what's up in terms of being able to bike around your city. So let's have a city more like that. We do want to improve transit, and I think part of that's improving the rider experience. So I'll sit down with the mayor and I'll share the message with him that people have been sharing with me for the past few years, which is they don't like it when the bus is too full and drives by them. So let's improve transit so that doesn't happen anymore. And we'll do that starting with the 50-50 transit agreement, which does apply across the province, not just with Winnipeg. And we'll also move towards electrification. I also wanted to offer maybe 2 more unconventional answers. 1, within the first 100 days, we want to address the meth issue and the addictions crisis in Manitoba. One of the issues that this has caused, that is maybe it's not the biggest issue, public health and public safety are probably the biggest repercussions of the meth crisis, but a lot of people are getting their bikes stolen. Easier to ride your bike around town if it doesn't get stolen as often. Okay? So we want to improve public health, public safety. We want to take real action to deal with the root causes of addiction and to deal with that in a holistic way. And then the other piece, again, I do think it is about resetting our relationship to the land. The thing that unites most Indigenous peoples across the world is a relationship to the land. One of the reasons that I think Indigenous folks have something to offer the climate justice movement is not just Mini Wachoni, water is life. It's not just the saying the earth is our mother, but it's about encouraging people to actually cultivate a relationship with the land the place that we all live. Manitoba, the spirit is here. So let's have people walk and cultivate the relationship that way.